we have to find a way of repurposing the tribal instincts of human beings. And we have to do it in a way that isn't destructive. That's why I firmly believe having a strong sense of community and really investing heavily in a, culturally, investing culturally heavily in community and community building and community cohesion and really caring for the people who are nearest to you will ultimately produce the best results for the society at large, because it isn't the job of it is simply never at any point the job of any one human being to be taking care of so much responsibility. Responsibility really does, and power really do seem to truly need to exist in as much of a decentralized condition as possible. But there's so much more to that. There's so much more nuance to everything that I could just, I feel like I could talk for hours, and there's a good chance that I will. I already have. I already have been talking about it. But the purpose here is to give an introduction of this to other people, for other people. And just to catch them up to speed. The simple matter of fact for why I'm doing this, why I'm here, why I'm speaking, is I have been warned, essentially. I've been warned, essentially, by extraterrestrial beings that that, that it is of utmost importance that people work cooperatively and live cooperatively in order to provide the best spiritual results for the planet, for mankind. Because mankind really is in the position of being on a certain path, being on a particular, having a particular destiny. And I don't use that word lightly. I mean that literally destiny. It is our destiny to be as such, and so it will happen. And that's where I question my own role in all of this. I don't know what my role is supposed to be. I don't know, like, how, if all, I'm supposed to have an impact on this situation. It's because as one man, it feels so daunting of a task. But I'm here to start and to start making those attempts. I was it was communicated to me by the extraterrestrials that it is humanity's destiny to become like them. That's the purpose for our existence. That they have been around all this time and that they've created us. And they, perform the necessary manipulations and things to ensure that the earth produced a species useful enough for them to interact with and work to modify. That they're the ones who stood us upright, and they're the ones who taught us fire, writing, agriculture, cities, aqueducts. Everything of the sort. They taught us to build with megalithic stones. And look, I don't know the whole history. That isn't something that's been explained to me. But what I do understand is that it's our job to join them in the duties of creation. That there is much, much beyond our understanding. An enormous amount of reality lies beyond the limits of human consciousness, of human cognition, I should say. Beyond the limits of human cognition. Even now, I get the feeling like they're trying to keep me from talking about this. They're trying to stop me somehow. That this is somehow something that I'm not supposed to talk about, but I am just no longer. I just don't find myself very willing to stay silent about it perpetually. The simple reality is that we, as a society, as a global society, as a global culture, we are not equipped to deal with the things that are going to face us over the course of our struggles, because there will be struggles. There will be trials and struggles for us to gain all of the responsibilities and privileges that come with technological advancement, civilizational advancement. And so it is absolutely imperative that we create a new cultural community, a new cultural group that is willing to say what needs to be said and do what has to be done to rectify all of the problems that our culture has incurred for centuries, for millennia. And at this point, I don't know what to necessarily offer up as a solution. All I can say is that my ideal situation would be a community that locates itself somewhere, that headquarters itself somewhere, that there's a proximity factor engaged with, that this community would live together communally and would work on honestly developing the kind of culture that is reminiscent of the pacifist and cooperative and intelligent culture of these alien beings. Recently, something happened to me that was a first in this saga of extraterrestrial contact. This was this has been the first time that I've ever been taken aboard one of their crafts. But truthfully, I wouldn't even call it that. In fact, craft is a completely just a complete misnomer for what they truly are. They are portals. They're not so much crafts, like we would think of them. They're something else. They're empty on the inside because they lead to a different space entirely. They connect straight back to a much larger and paradisical landscape, a huge, huge space. I was taken first, and I understand now that this isn't the first time that I had been introduced to this or interacted with this technology. Um, Perhaps what I should have said was this is the first time I have truly been taken into their own space, into their personal spaces, into their paradise where they live, where they as individuals live out their lives separate from their activities in surveilling us and communicating with us, studying our world, monitoring our world. Nonetheless, what happened and what I now understand has happened to me previously was that I was taken into a bright white room. Bright white room. And this is itself the inside of the craft portion of the story, what we identify as crafts, as UFOs. Well, the interior is this bright white space. And I was after entering into this bright space, I was approached by two small beings, short men, stereotypical aliens with large eyes. And I was completely calmed by their presence. And suddenly the bright white room itself was completely taken over. Completely taken over by this 360-degree array of kaleidoscopic diamond rainbows. Shining like diamonds, but with the appearance perhaps more like that of rainbow colored glass. But nonetheless, shining and twisting like diamonds in just an unfathomable geometric pattern and moving not static, shimmering and moving, and quickly the diamonds arrange themselves in such a way to essentially disappear, is how I believe it should be understood. As the rainbow diamonds shimmered and twisted and disappeared, they revealed behind them this positively enormous and once again 360, but shaped more in an elliptical shape, once again reminiscent of the craft shape, but of course many, many hundreds of times larger. Thousands of times, maybe. Certainly. And everywhere the eyes could fall was green. It was like a rainforest. There were plants everywhere, trees and bushes and things of every kind, and flowers of every kind. Were all over. And completely intermixed with the plant life were these small buildings, small and single story buildings. And there were people of various sizes and shapes and kinds, all living together, living their lives in these houses, in these homes, and in this forest, this garden, the garden landscape. It was also impressed upon me by my company that this space extended on forever, because there were many twists and turns among the paths which led into entirely new areas which were not visible, and also led to many more portals, crafts. They were all accessible from that space. Perhaps not all, but many, many, many were. That was clear to me. It also seemed to have been made fully clear to me that the people were truly happy with their condition, with their situation. They were truly pleased. At least my company was seemingly pleased and had the ultimately calming effect, which I certainly believe was intentional, an intentional calming. became completely clear to me then that that is exactly what humanity is to be working toward. That is exactly what we should be working toward. Simultaneously having access to the entire breadth and wealth of society while being organized at the micro level with extended social networks based on strong senses of community and social cohesion and love and cooperation and trust and respect and reliability and vulnerability and acceptance. These are the ideals for human beings, but we become so distracted by other nonsense. And I truly hope that there are enough people who are undistracted or wish to be undistracted by the nonsense of the world to be able to hear this and understand and know that it is the truth. And that the most valuable thing we can do with our time now is learn how we will survive into the future, how we will pick up the pieces from the world, and how we will build the world, build the better society, build the better communities that we know we deserve, that we know we ought to build. So if that's you, what are you waiting for? Why don't we get started? Let's make a better world together and make our lives better now.